Hi, my name's Stewart Elman and I'm speaking to you from Great Britain. I work for Assembleas of God, Great Britain, and my friend Ricardo has asked me to send you a video, just encourage you as you praying for the young people and leaders in your nation. And just to say that excites my heart, I am praying with you because reaching young people and growing young leaders for the gospel and for the kingdom is my passion as well. So I'm really cheering you on here. Now, I'm speaking to you from a place called Gloucester. That's where I live now, which you may or may not have heard of. But I grew up in a place called London, which you probably have heard of. And if you've ever been to London, you'll recognise this phrase, please mind the gap. If you've ever got the train, the tube in London, you have heard, please mind the gap. And the reason they say that is because sometimes there is a gap between the train and the platform. And the truth is, this gap is dangerous. You could fall through the gap, or you can injure yourself, or you could just look silly. But that's why they warn you. And I believe that in the season we're in the church, I believe that's the word as well. Please mind the gap. And it's so exciting that your theme is to fill the gap, because a gap between church and society is just as dangerous. It's a dangerous place to be. We need to make sure as church that we are stepping into that gap, that we live in that gap. Because where God's word is and where society is often so different. But church sometimes can be too scared to step into that gap. Or sometimes church steps too far and actually widens the gap, pushing people away. But can I tell you this? In Ephesians chapter 1, it says this in the Message version. The church, you see, is not peripheral to the world, but the world is peripheral to the church. And what that means is that the church doesn't sit on the outskirts of the world. Actually, the church is the center. Jesus is the center. And society sits outside, and it's our job to take the message of Jesus out there. Can I tell you this, please? Jesus is the answer to racism. Jesus is the answer to gender inequality. Jesus is the answer to poverty and hunger. Jesus is the answer to sexuality questions. Jesus is the answer to all of the issues in society. But it's our job as church to fill the gap and to make a way for people to get to grips with and to understand what Jesus says about this. If Portugal's anything like England, you will have heard the verse Jeremiah 29 verse 11 that says this, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future." And we love that verse, but can I tell you the context of that verse is speaking to the Israelites when they were a remnant and they were broken, and God was saying, love your city, serve your city, pray for your nation, and out of that, I will bless you. And that's the word from God to us today, to love, to reach out, to serve, to pray for, to live righteous in an unrighteous culture, to live pure in an impure world, to live lives of sacrificial love in a self-love world, and to live lives of faith in a faithless world, to bring His hope, His word, His message to our world. Let me encourage you, that is the call on your life. That is the call on us as church. And I'm cheering you on as we do this.